2024, where we gathered under the inspiring theme, Building the Africa We Want. This gathering represents a vital opportunity for us to reflect on our common cause and the potential that lies within our continent. And Sierra Leone is honored to host this year's conference. I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to His Excellency, the President of this great republic, retired Dr. Julius Maada Bio, for his outstanding leadership and unwavering commitment to the development of our nation. His vision and dedication serves as a guiding principles for all of us as we strive to build a better Sierra Leone and a better future for Africa in different capacities. Earlier this year, the Sierra Leone Local Content Year Agency was honored as the most outstanding local content agency across Africa in Mauritius. This recognition, thank you. This recognition highlights the incredible potential and dedication of our region in promoting local participation within our economy. As we gathered here in this decisive moment in our history, we recognize the immense possibilities that lies within Africa. Our rich natural resources, lively cultures, our innovative spirits are key assets that drive sustainable development and economic growth. Central to this vision is the concept of local content, leveraging local resources, our local talents and entrepreneurs to foster self-sufficiency and reliance. Ladies and gentlemen, we are fortunate to have five arrays of speakers today in panels, participants who have to share their insight and experience on building the Africa we want. I encourage you all to engage actively in discussions, ask questions, and share your own perspectives. This is a collaborative effort, and your contribution here today are vital in shaping the roadmap for the collective future. Over the next 2 days, we will engage in discussions that challenge us to think critically about how do we empower Africa, driving inter-trade partnerships and investment opportunities. We will hear from industry leaders, policymakers, all of whom have valuable perspectives to bring to the table. United by our common agenda, our decisions here today is to aim on trade relations, foster strategic partnerships and alliance, develop policy recommendations, and support trade and investments. Improve our understanding of best practices in trade and investment, and also to explore how our local entrepreneurs, such as those beautifully displayed out here exhibiting today, can encourage and effectively leverage on the African continental free trade area. Before I conclude, ministers of government, distinguished ladies, let me do justice to our esteemed international delegates that are in this room by outlining some of the few steps that I, as the Director General of Local Content, together with my incredible team, has taken over the years to promote local content initiative in Sierra Leone. It is no secret that my passion for Africa goes much deeper than just seeing myself as a Sierra Leonean. In an effort to ensure that Sierra Leoneans and Sierra Leonean businesses take leadership of this economy by improving and promoting the local private sector, the agency from time to time coordinates, conducts, facilitates business linkages such as trade fair and exhibitions, as well as skills enhancement training for hundreds of small businesses, if not thousands, within the sectors within the value chain. Through this drive, the agency seeks to ensure value addition to local products and services and better position them so that they could be able to compete effectively. Ladies and gentlemen, bear in mind, local content is about competitiveness. Training for local suppliers in various aspects of their local businesses includes marketing and exhibition skills, customer service skills, packaging and branding skills, costing of their product skills, standard and quality management, to name but a few. We have given relevance to our Made in Sierra Leone products by facilitating the creation of visibly displayed Made in Sierra Leone shelves in over 90% of foreign-owned supermarkets across the country. Low clap for local content. The agency over the years have developed robust local content monitoring and audit system through our online scorecard benchmarking multinational companies, and also to capture local content procurement of key MDAs as well as non-governmental organizations. Support from few trusted development partners, the agency hosted the first ever Mano River Local Content Union conference here in Sierra Leone. A total of 4 countries within our sub-region, namely Liberia, Guinea, Sierra Leone, and Ivory Coast, where we sit in the same room to discuss local content for best practices. Ladies and gentlemen, as I close, I would like to express my gratitude to all of you for your presence here today and for your participation. Together, we can create an Africa where every citizen has the opportunity to succeed and contribute to our universal benefits. Let us embark on this journey together, driven by our common cause and guided by the principle that local content is key to our sustainable future. I look forward to engaging each and every one of you throughout this conference and beyond. Una kushe, una tenki, una kabo.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Dabo, for that. You could tell that he's a happy man, counting the successes he's had so far with the local content agency. I think he reiterated what I mentioned earlier, that Made in Sierra Leone products are now placed visibly when you go to supermarkets and other shops owned by other nationals. So congratulations and thank you very much for doing that. We're moving on with the statements. Other ministers of governments are here. I'll get to acknowledging them later on. But permit me to what you see here this morning, the beautification and decoration of the stage I was told was put together by the Deputy Minister of Tourism and Cultural Affairs. So whilst she was on stage singing and dancing, I said to myself, you can take the minister away from the minister, but you cannot take her love for arts and culture away from us. She would always get on board and show exactly that she loves music, she loves art, and she loves culture. So thank you very much for doing this as well. Maybe you'd want to share your contacts with some people who would want to get your services away from doing the ministerial duties. You would get this done beautifully for them when they have events. Thank you very much to Dr. Grace Kadijatu Aheni. She doesn't like me calling her Dr. Grace, but I always do that because That was how I got introduced, or how she was introduced to me. Let's move on with some more statements. And I'd like to invite from the Export Promotion and Regional Integration unit from the Ministry of Trade and Industry in Sierra Leone, MTI. I'd like to invite the Acting Director, Mr. Tamba Newmar, who's around to make a statement on behalf of the Director General from the Ministry. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Tamba Newmar.
Thank you. Distinguished the Director General, Sierra Leone Local Content Authority, the Executive Director, National Investment Board, Honorable Ministers and Deputy Ministers, our private sector players, ladies and gentlemen, I greet you all. It is an honor to make a statement today at the Africa Development Conference. I stand here on behalf of the Ministry of Trade and Industry, and in particular as the Acting Director of Export Promotion and Regional Integration, to discuss the progress we have made under the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, the AFTA in short. The AFTA, which means to create the largest free trade area globally, covering 1.3 billion people, 55 member state countries, a GDP of 3.4 trillion, and a growth rate of 33%. We expected, when it's been fully crystallized, we reduce tariff by 90%. Sierra Leone, being a key player in the AFTA negotiation, has made tangible progress. We have done several reviews to ensure that we place Sierra Leone on the correct footing to trade under the AFTA. Ladies and gentlemen, as I stand here today, the Ministry of Trade and Industry have reviewed 4 policies: the agribusiness policy, the national industrial policy, special economic zone policy, and our national trade strategy. In addition, we have worked with our development partner to have a readiness assessment of Sierra Leone to effectively trade under the AFTA. We have also conducted several studies, including study on women trade and trading services. As I speak to you today, the Ministry of Trade and Industry is currently reviewing the national trade strategy again. Our aim is to capture areas that were not covered in the first policy, the Free Trade Agreement. And also, we are currently looking at to launch the big AFTA conference to how Sierra Leone can trade. Ladies and gentlemen, today in Rwanda, Sierra Leone, in addition to 39 countries, will be announced to be part of the second phase of the GTI, the Guided Trade Initiative on the AFTA. We will continue to work with our development partners to ensure we trade effectively under the trade agreement. The benefit of AFTA are close aligned with His Excellency the President Madabio, Big Five changer, which prioritized economic diversification, human capital development, and job creation. By embracing AFTA, Sierra Leone is strengthening its position to hub for regional integration and also to trade effectively within the continent. For this, we continue to work under several protocols to ensure that comes 2025, Sierra Leone can be effectively trading under the AFTA and we are able to have good returns. Ladies and gentlemen, it is on this basis I urge all of you to pay keen interest to what will be discussed for the next 2 days on this conference. Let's discuss AFTA. Let's discuss Sierra Leone. Explain to us how you want us to trade, how we can address issue of MSMEs, how we can protect our local content business, how we can protect our local content manufacturer. We know we are going to a terrain where we have big players as well. We have major players. That is why It is a deliberate effort on behalf of the leadership of the ministry to ensure we have a clear strategy and implementation plan of how we trade. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, our participation in AFTA makes a new chapter in Sierra Leone trade journey. We continue to collaborate with development partners, including the United Nations and the local stakeholders. We are poised to leverage AFTA to foster sustainable growth and make Sierra Leone a competitive player in Africa dynamic. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. I'm loving the statements. They're quite brief, straight to the point. Showing some understanding that we need to move as fast as possible. But this morning, I'd also like to acknowledge our guests from other African countries for joining us this morning. I think I mentioned that already, that we have some international guests. Yes. I'd also like to mention them this morning. From Ghana, we have Madam Mary Anani Awuku from Ghana. Is that how you pronounce it? I want to be sure that I got the right pronunciation. From Kenya, Dr. Stanley Musa, you from Kenya. We have from Mauritius, Banazia Zaidu, you around? From Mauritius. From Ghana, Samuel Vasmak from Ghana. Samuel. Marlik Ajay from Ghana. Said Mohammed from Comoros Island. Please warmly welcome them. It's not warm enough. Give them a warm Sierra Leonean welcome. Let them know that they've come to the land of hospitality, beautiful Sierra Leone. All right. I'd also finally like to acknowledge the presence of and welcome to our beautiful land from the Republic of Liberia, Angie Kolu Nima Lavala von Balmus. I make mistake, Would like to welcome you to our beautiful land as well. Thank you very much for coming out here. We have a rich history with Liberia as well as a country, Sierra Leone. Up next, we want to take a statement from the Director General of the National Social Security and Insurance Trust, Mr. Mohamed Fouad Dabo. Obviously, if you don't have a safety net for your citizens, even if they invest in getting their entrepreneurship going, the future would not be favorable for them. So you have a social security net that's working for both employers and employees, and Mr. Dabo is leading that. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Mohamed Fouad Dabo to make a brief statement.
Thank you very much, MC. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Today, we have converged here under the banner of a shared vision, building the Africa we want. This theme is not just an aspiration, it is a call to action for us all as Africans. The vision of building the Africa we want, as articulated in the African Union's Agenda 2063, aims to create a prosperous, integrated, peaceful continent driven by its own citizens, present and future generations. As you are aware, Africa is a continent with immense potential, rich in natural resources, diverse cultures, and a youthful population. Yet Africa faces critical challenges such as poverty, unemployment, diseases, political unrest, climate change, travel restrictions, Africans undocumented, taking challenges across the continent, and of course, the poverty itself. The million-dollar questions we should be asking ourselves is, what can we do to overcome these challenges? A conference like this is very critical to our development aspirations. On that note, I would like to thank the organizers for bringing us together to discuss. We are all here to play a role today. As a social security administrator, my work involves securing the financial and social well-being of our citizens, which directly contributes to this broader vision for Africa. I will share with you the vital role pension schemes play in realizing this dream for future generations. My presentation today will be structured into three broad categories as follows: a prosperous Africa, an integrated Africa, and a peaceful Africa. A prosperous Africa empowering people and their economies. The first pillar of the Africa we want to is prosperity. But prosperity isn't just about economic growth. It is about ensuring that the benefits of that growth reach every African, regardless of their background, gender, and age. In his address to the United Nations General Assembly in 2019, the President of the Republic of Sierra Leone, Brigadier General retired Julius Maada Bio, noted that, I quote, "True development is not just about economic growth. It is about ensuring that every citizen has access to quality education, healthcare, and opportunities to thrive." Mr. Chairman, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we cannot talk about a prosperous Africa without mentioning the following: economic stability. Social security system serves as a foundation for long-term economic stability of every state. Effective management of pension funds does not only ensure economic stability of its members at the onset of any of the contingencies, but also creates huge financial reserve for redistributions within the national and sub-regional economies. This redistribution through its investment portfolio will fund the much-needed national development project, fueling sectors such as housing, infrastructure, and healthcare, which in turn creates jobs and boosts the economy. I foresee an Africa where institutions such like NACIT in Sierra Leone, SNIT in Ghana, NSSF in Uganda, and many more will collaborate to create the right investment platform in the continent. Youth empowerment. With Africa's population being predominantly young, it is important to invest in youth employment and entrepreneurship. Social protection not only safeguards future income, but also protects economic activities that create jobs for young people. By strengthening SMEs, cash transfers, and improving access to capital, we can prepare the youth to drive African growth. We must ensure that prosperity is inclusive. That means expanding social security coverage to those in the informal sector and rural communities who often lack financial services. By bringing them into the fold, we can help lift millions out of poverty. Social security institutions in Africa should partner, share best practices, and support each other in this drive. We now have the ASA, that is the African Social Security Association, which I hope will be effective enough to engineer this vital collaboration. And for your information, Sierra Leone stands at the executive of the ASA currently. Integration, unified Africa. In order to build the Africa we want, there is need for regional integration. The future of Africa lies in our ability to work together across borders to foster deeper political, economic, and social ties. Fellow Africans, distinguished guests, it is important to note that the African Continent Free Trade Area Initiative is a major step forward in integrating African economies. By reducing barriers to trade and allowing the free movement of services and people will create larger market and encourage investment. As pension fund administrator, we see this as an opportunity to expand regional investment opportunities that benefit all Africans. Colleagues, integration is not just economic, it is social as well. We need to think about how to create social protection system that goes beyond national borders. An African who works in Sierra Leone, for instance, should be able to transfer their social security benefits if they move to Ghana, Morocco, Uganda, or South Africa. A unified system across the continent will promote labor mobility and ensure that Africans can seek opportunities wherever they find themselves without losing the benefit of social security. Beyond economic ties, integration requires a sense of shared identity and purpose, the Pan-African solidarity. Through platforms like the African Union, we must deepen our commitment to mutual respect and cooperation, where addressing shared challenges like climate change, migration, and health crisis. Only by standing united can we truly build the Africa we want. Peace and stability. It is the bedrock of everything we hope to achieve. Without peace, neither prosperity nor integration is possible. Africa has faced its share of conflict, but it is also a continent of resilience where people have continuously worked towards rebuilding and reconciliation. Social protection plays a major role in promoting peace and stability by addressing one of the root causes of conflict: inequality. When people feel financially secure and included in society, they are less likely to engage in unrest. Social protection reduces vulnerabilities and gives people a stake in the system. Social protection system, through its various programs, helps reduce economic insecurity, which in turn fosters stability. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, conflict resolution and good governance are critical in building the Africa we want. We must strengthen democratic institutions and governance systems. African governments need to prioritize good governance to prevent corruption and political instability, which are threats to peace. Our future lies in the hands of our young generation. We need to invest in our youth. We need to engage in peace building. Our youth should be prepared at the right time, not as seen as part of the problem. By investing in our youth education, entrepreneurship, and community programs, we reduce the risk of extremism and unrest. The role of social security in building the Africa we want. As practitioners, we do recognize the vital role of pension funds in achieving our continent goals. We don't just focus on pension payments. We also focus on long-term stability and development throughout. Investment in national development. Pension funds invest in projects that create jobs, build infrastructure, and support national growth. These investments benefit the wider economy, but also ensure that pensions are well managed for the future. By directing funds towards projects that align with the vision of the Africa we want, social security institutions contribute directly to economic and social development. The expanding of the coverage. Social protection coverage in Africa remains very, very low. We must work to expand the coverage of social security in Africa. Many people in the informal sector and rural do not have access to social protection. By bringing them into the system, we create a more resilient society where every citizen has the ability to retire with dignity and security. The question here we ask is, how do we secure the future for generations to come? The Africa we want is not only for us, it is for the future generation. Our actions today will determine whether they inherit a continent that is stable, prosperous, and united, or one that continues, that is unstable, struggle with challenges of poverty, conflict, and division. If we are to secure the future for generations to come, we must focus on the following issues. One, we must ensure that our policies and systems are sustainable. This applies to both social security systems and broader economic policies. We need to manage our resources responsibly, ensuring that our natural wealth benefits future generations. Two, as Africa faces the impact of climate change, we must integrate environmental protection into our vision for the future. We must look at investments that support green growth and sustainable development. His Excellency President Bio at Climate Change Conference COP26 in 2021, he remarked, and I quote, "As we pursue development, we cannot ignore the realities of climate change. Sustainable practices must be at the forefront of our policies to ensure livable planet for future operations," unquote. Lastly, we must foster a sense of solidarity between generations. Young Africans should feel invested in success of their elders, just as older generations should support the development of the youth. Social security systems are a key part of this, ensuring that today's workers can support tomorrow's retirees while building their own futures. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, building the Africa we want requires collective actions, strategic thinking, and strong institutions. Prosperity, integration, and peace are achievable, but only if we work together across borders, across sectors, and across generations. NASID, like any other social security institution, stands ready to play its own part in this journey by investing in our people, securing their future, and ensuring that we build an Africa where every citizen can thrive. Let us commit today to building the Africa we want, for ourselves, for our children, and for the future generations to come. I thank you all for my God and my country.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dabo. That was quite detailed. I mentioned that he is the Director General of the National Social Security and Insurance Trust, and you could tell that he is skewing his statement towards that, and the comments he made as well about integration. I mean, a few thoughts. I'm sure you want to have some more explanation as to what he was clearly saying in his statement. So he's going to lead a panel, and he'll be part of another panel where they'll be talking about trade and investment across Africa. So wait for that, so you get to hear from him. And I mean, a few highlights. I was taking notes of the things he said. He says securing social security of citizens across Africa. So he says you don't want to get someone to move from Sierra Leone and they go to Ghana and they lose their social security status altogether. He mentioned that mentioned long-term stability. He says investment, extension of social security across Africa, giving universal coverage. In fact, even in Sierra Leone, he says that it's difficult for people who are in the hinterlands to access social security net. So he's saying that that has to improve. We have to provide universal coverage for everyone in and around our country and the continent. He ended by saying there should be sustainable policies and systems. If you are not taking notes, I took some notes. He mentioned that sustainable policies and systems to be able to drive the Africa that we want. He says investment, drive, regrowth, and sustainable development. I mean, these are key things that he mentioned. He'll be part of a panel, so wait for that interesting bit that you've heard already from Mr. Dabo as he would lead that panel and they go through this very interesting day. I'd also like to acknowledge the presence of the Minister of Technical and Higher Education, Dr. Hajar Ramatulai Wuri, who is also here with us today. I can tell she's traveling in country far and wide. We were in Bo on Saturday doing something else for the teachers, and we're here again today attending this conference. Thank you very much for all you do and the hard work you put in as well to ensure that we have a beautiful educational system. We'd like to move on to some more statements, and I would like to invite to make a statement now from the United Nations, the resident coordinator in Sierra Leone, Ms. Seraphine Wakana, to make a brief statement from the United Nations. Well, in absence, we'll move on. Would like to invite the Minister of State, the Office of the President, Office of the Vice President, Ms. Manti Tarali, to make a statement this afternoon as well. It's already afternoon now. But I'd like to invite Ms. Manti Tarali from the Office of the Vice President, not here as well. Well, good for us, we're moving on. Yeah, I mean, in Creole we say, die man better, no? Not around, we're moving on as fast as possible. Let's take the keynote address. I'd like to listen to that and take notes. And for that, I'd like to invite the Honorable Minister, who is not here, but is going to be represented ably by the Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry, who would lead this session, make the keynote address, Madam Fatmata Kagbo, this afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome, make it warm, the Deputy Minister of Trades and Industry. All right. Yes, please forgive me. I've asked that guy not to come to me again on stage. I'm banning you officially. Let me announce so you don't come to me again on stage. But I'd like to invite the Deputy Minister of Trade, Madam Fatmata Kagbo, please to come and make a statement. The keynote address representing the Minister of Trade this afternoon.
Good afternoon, Honorable Ministers and Deputies, Honorable Member of Parliament, our distinguished brothers and sisters all across the African globe, from different and various African countries, our donor partners, all other MDA members, members of the Fourth Estate, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I am here this afternoon to give the keynote address on behalf of my able and honorable Minister, Alpha Ibrahim Cissé, who is really under the weather and wanted to be here so badly, but as God could have it, is not here today. But he knows that I can step in at any time, any moment on his behalf. So on that note, I want to extend my profound thanks to the Director General, Mr. Fodiba Dabo of the Sierra Leone Local Content, for gracing this occasion, bringing us all together as Africans, and for the rest of you all to know that within the Ministry of Trade and Industry, we are supervising 8 agencies. And one of those is the Sierra Leone Local Content. Today, as Africans, we gather to chart a course towards the African we want. The African that must be prosperous. The Africa that we want to be integrated. Africa that must be resilient. As Africans, our vision is to build on the foundation of unity, solidarity, and collective determination. We envision an Africa where economic growth benefits all. We envision an Africa where innovation thrives and where our people enjoy not only safety and security, but dignity. And just like the last speaker said, Director Dabo, that talks about peace. We cannot develop Africa, even with economic stability, if we don't have peace. That's why we want to give it up to our president, His Excellency, retired Brigadier Dr. Julius Maada Bio, for speaking on behalf of Africa and for also becoming the President of the United Nations Security Council for the month of August because of peace and stability. We need to give him a round of applause. He deserves better than that. Thank you, President Bio. He said, as Africans, we know what we want. As Africans, we know our problem. And therefore, African, we must have a seat so that we can be the voice that must be heard. We can be the ones that's gonna fix and correct our own problem. So this is not merely a dream, it is a necessity. In a rapidly changing global landscape, we must seize the opportunities that lie not only ahead of us, but also address the challenges that have held us back for too long. Now is the time we must grab this opportunity. This is the way forward for us Africans. The time has come for us to unite our efforts and resources to build a better Africa, not only for ourselves, but for our future generation. Because they're gonna be the ones that's gonna represent us all. To achieve this, I'm going to highlight 4 focus areas in terms of economic development for Africa. Agriculture is one, mining, manufacturing, and service providing. Let's start with agriculture. Agriculture is the backbone of many African economies and is crucial for achieving food security. We must develop a robust agricultural value chain that empowers farmers, enhance productivity, and ensure that local produce meets both local and international demands. How many of us are in this room thinking way back as a child? Either your grandmother or even your mother has a garden behind the house. How many of you? It tells us that this is what we know as African. That backyard where we grew what? Our cassava leaves, potato leaves, sour, you name it. That backyard that you can go towards the evening hours and just collect some few, things that you've been growing, and then now you can have a pot of sauce for the entire family. This is the Africa that we must continue with. By rebalancing Africa's foreign trade and reducing dependency on importation, we can make our continent food secure. Gone are the days that we rely on too much importation. It is high time as Africans we grow what we have, especially what our president is doing in Sierra Leone, so that now we're going to engage in robust exportation of all our agricultural produce to all other African countries and the whole entire universe as a whole. Investing in agrotech and sustainable farming practices will not only improve yields, but also attract young talent to the agricultural sector. This is vital for fostering innovation and ensuring the sustainability of our food systems. Again, we have a visionary president that is working tirelessly so that in Sierra Leone and across the globe, there is going to be food sustainability. And all other African countries must emulate the pathway that our president has set for all Sierra Leoneans. By 2028, there shouldn't be any food shortage in Sierra Leone. We should have enough food to feed ourselves so that we can engage in exporting such to other nearby countries. The second area has to do with mining. The mining sector holds tremendous potential for economic development in Africa. However, we must promote the development of regional and continental value chains that focus on value addition and skills development. Again, rather than exportation or exporting our raw materials everywhere African goes all across the globe, we should rather invest in processing and refining these resources locally. I mean locally. Gone are the days that our raw materials are going to be taken elsewhere with less amounts or with less goodness that's going to come to the country. So we should open our eyes, open our ears, and know that it's high time that Africa know the worth of our raw material. This will create jobs, enhance local economies, and generate additional revenue for our countries, the Africa that we love. Furthermore, responsible mining practices must be prioritized, indeed, to ensure environmental sustainability and the protection of our local communities. By fostering partnership between government, private companies, and local communities, we can create a mining sector and benefits for all our stakeholders. Gone are the days that their lands are going to be taken away from them for just a little mini amount, and then towards the end, all our landowners are left on their own. So as Africans, we should wise up. The next area has to do with manufacturing. Manufacturing is essential for driving economic growth and creating jobs. Just as our Sierra Leone president have said, by the year 2028, we should be able to create 500,000 jobs for our youth within this country. So this is another practice that other African countries can emulate. We must invest in building a strong manufacturing base that promotes intra-Africa trade. By increasing our production capacity and reducing reliance on imported goods, we can stimulate local economies and create a more self-sufficient continent. Investment in infrastructure that include areas of transportation, areas of energy, will be critical. We know that, especially here in Sierra Leone, to supporting manufacturing initiatives. Additionally, we must encourage innovation and research and development within the energy sector to adapt to the changing market needs. The fourth area include the service providers. A vibrant service sector is essential, is highly needed, and must be encouraged to balance our economy. We must foster growth in key areas such as financial services, areas in tourism, areas in technology and innovation. By investing in digital infrastructure and promoting access to technology, we can create new opportunities for businesses and entrepreneurs all across the continent. The tourism sector alone, and I'm glad the Deputy Minister of Tourism is here, in particular has the potential to generate significant revenue and create jobs. We must promote our diverse cultures as it's been displayed here up on the stage, our heritage, our national resources, to attract not only local tourism, but also international tourists. Much has been said about the after, meaning the AfCFTA, the African Continental Free Trade Area. Today is an happy day. We had for the acting director of export under the Ministry of Trade and Industry, that Sierra Leone will become the 39th country in the Global Trade Initiative under the AfCFTA, something that was signed by our President, His Excellency Dr. Julius Maada Bio. Indeed, the AfCFTA is a game changer for all Africans. It provides a vast and reliable platform for the development of regional and continental value chains. By leveraging the AFCFTA, we can boost intra-Africa trade, we can enhance competitiveness, and we can also attract investment. We must ensure that all African countries, regardless of their sizes or economic status, to say, oh, Sierra Leone is just a very tiny, small country. It doesn't matter the size. But what matters is that as African, we can benefit from this agreement, this AFCFTA. And today, as Sierra Leoneans, we must be proud that our country is going to be among the list of the GTI. By harmonizing trade regulations and reducing tariffs, we can facilitate smoother trade flows and create a more integrated African economy. Empowering the private sector. This is a very important area because we all know the private sector is the engine of growth of any economy. It's just like you're saying, the brain. As a human being, you cannot function without your brain. So for any country to have an economy that is sustainable, we must encourage and utilize the private sector. We must foster entrepreneurship. We must support small and medium enterprises, SMEs. And together we have to encourage innovation. Creating a conducive business environment through policy reforms, access to finance, which is very important, and capacity building initiatives will empower our entrepreneurs and drive economic development. Our public-private partners can play a significant role in mobilizing resources and expertise to tackle pressing challenges. Together, we can create a thriving ecosystem that does not only nurture our talent, but will drive sustainable growth. Youth empowerment. Our youth are Africa's greatest assets. And you all agree with me on that? Our days are soon going to be outnumbered, right? So this is the reason why we must and we need to empower our youth. And that's why our president made it a must as part of his 5 big changes for us to have the youth employment scheme. With over 60% of the continent's population under the age of 25, investing in the youth education and skills training is paramount. We must create opportunities that match their skills, that match their aspirations, that match their goals, that match their vision, so that they're going to be able to contribute meaningful and immensely to not only our economy, but also to society. Vocational training programs, mentorship initiative, and access to digital skills will equip our youth to thrive in a competitive global marketplace. By harnessing their potential, we can build a more innovative and dynamic Africa. The Africa that we love. The Africa that we are proud of. In conclusion, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, building the Africa we want requires collective action. It does not only include the Sierra Leone local content. It does not only include certain MDAs. It takes me and you, each and every one. It does not only include Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Sierra Leone. As Africa, we must be united. We must stay united for us to be able to accomplish this goal. We must share our responsibilities. We must have our commitment, unwavering commitment. We must work together as government officials, as private sectors, civil society, and citizens. We must create that environment so that our future children, yet unborn, will know that what? their fathers, their mothers, their grandparents were there and they've left their mark. They've done everything possible to pave the way for them. As Africa, we must stay prosperous. It takes me and you to make this country, to make continent Africa peaceful. Without peace, there is not going to be economic development. So the sooner we acknowledge peace and stability, together we are going to build an economy for not only Africa, but Africa will be seen all throughout the universe. Let us rise to the challenge, ladies and gentlemen. Let us embrace our shared destiny. Let us be proud that as Africans, we can stand up tall at any given moment, at any given place, because we were made to be Africans. We were built to be Africans, and therefore we should build the Africa we want for the future generations. Together, we can turn our vision into reality. Once again, on behalf of my minister, Honorable Alpha Ibrahim Cissé, I want to say thank you, DG Dabo, for giving me this opportunity. And again, for the next 2 days, I wish all of us all a good workshop towards this building of economic growth. Thank you. God bless Africa.
Madam Deputy Minister, for ably representing and articulating on behalf of the Ministry of Trade. Thank you very much. Key areas: agriculture, interesting, eat what you grow. She says robust exportation, improve yields, but most importantly, attract the youth, Gen Zs. She says for innovation, to foster innovation. Before coming in, I was talking to one of the innovators from IPAM. So he says he has designed a candle power bank. To the IPAMers, are you here? Guys from IPAM, are you here? To the IPAMers, so I was talking to this young man. He says he has designed a candle power bank. I'm going to go check out his booth. When he was talking to me and giving me the brief, he didn't have the power bank to show me, but when we have a break, I'll go check his booth out to see. They say seeing is believing, eh? I want to confirm what he said to me. So she says, let's get the youth attracted to the agricultural sector. Mining sector, change, of course, value addition, regional, intercontinental value addition. She says, create more jobs. Obviously, if you improve the mining sector, it will create more jobs, and it would improve the economy. But she says also we need to have a responsible mining sector where they would go in and not just take the lands from the locals to get mining activities done, but to be sure that they give back and contribute via the CSR to these communities where they go to get their mining done. Manufacturing, obviously, it will drive economic growth. She says job creation, investing in building a manufacturing system or sector in the country, increase production capacity, improve transportation, obviously, improve energy and research. Service provider, she also mentioned that financial services have to be part of the entire process to make and improve Africa that we want. Tourism, which is a big attraction, technology, and youth employment. Well, that's a summary of what the Minister of Trade just mentioned. We would like to inform you that there will be a short break immediately after this one, where you get, I'm told it's for the invited guests and dignitaries. You'll be shown where the reception hall is. You get a quick break. I'm sure we'll be back in 20-25 minutes, that at exactly 1 p.m. To the rest of us, we can stay in the hall and get entertained by Mary V and the cultural dancers and acrobats who are here this morning. So there'll be a short, quick lunch break where we'll go to, and then we'll come back and converge in at 1 o'clock to start with the panel discussions. There is also going to be an award ceremony for some guests, some dignitaries that we'll be recognizing. There will be a double award. First one will be done today here at the hall, and the next one will be done tomorrow at the cocktail dinner, where you will be presented with the other award. It's It's a dinner by invitation only, so it's not a dinner for everyone, but it will be only by invitation, and the awards will be presented to the awardees tomorrow evening. On that note, I don't know if the Director General wants to pass on the special information. We can go.
When we go the break, don't worry, I'm here the whole day. Come and take pictures. I need something, crowd everywhere. Okay. Cute.
All right. Forgive me, we're making some adjustments. I know I had mentioned already that we need to go for a quick break, but we are making a quick adjustment to that. I've just been told that we have to get on with the first panel discussion. So forgive us for making that break, so that we can get the dignitaries who will be on the panel to address us and leave when they should. Now the first. All right, the first panel is going to be moderated. All right, the first panel would have Honorable Dr. Ramatullah Wuri, who is the Minister of Technical and Higher Education. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Ramatullah Wuri as she sits on the panel. Joining the panel as well would be the Chief Technical Officer for the International Labour Organization Opportunity Salon Program, Tondera Manoto, who will be joining the panel as well. Tondera Manoto will be joining the panel. Mr. Ahmed Nano will also be joining the panel. He's the Executive Chairman of the Sierra Chamber of Agribusiness Development. Mr. Rashid A. Conte, Managing Director as well of Sierra Leone Agro-Based Industry and Services, will be joining the panel. I'd like to invite Madam Mary Nani Awoku from Ghana. She's the first. She will be hosting this session, moderating this one as well to walk us through. I mean, these are people with depth and latitude from the respective areas of service. They'll be talking us through what it really means to discover the Africa that we want, but how can we drive trade, inter-trade partnership and investment opportunities. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our moderator. All right, apologies for that. I think our moderator should be Mr. Sina Masakoi, who is the Enterprise Officer Opportunity Salon Program for the International Labour Organization. Forgive me for that. First moderator should be Sina Masakoi, Enterprise Officer for the Opportunity Salon Program for the International Labour Organization. Sina Masakoi. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Sina Masakoi from the International Labour Organization Opportunity Salon Program.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, our existing guests we have here, ministers and heads of institutions, entrepreneurs, students, and all present. My task here is very quick but very important, as we're here to discuss some issues that surround how can we build the Africa that we want. And would have to look at the thing that has to deal with agro-processing, and food production. So as my guests have already been introduced, we have the Minister of Technical and Higher Education, the Chief Technical Officer and of ILO, and the Executive Chairman of SLEECAD on the panel. So this one goes for the Minister of Technical and Higher Education. And we're discussing technology and innovation. And we all in the room will agree with me that this has been a very important and significant sector within the country, and it's a major driver of growth and development as well in Africa in this present decade that we are right now. So we would like to ask Madam Minister, how can we make digitalization and innovation hubs as a solution to the African problem from the perspective of your own department? Thank you.
Thank you very much for that question, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I would first like to take the opportunity to thank the organizers for inviting me to share some of the plans and ongoing activities and planned activities that we have within the ministry, and see how that aligns with the theme of today's event, which is creating a platform that drives inter-trade partnerships and investment opportunities across the continent. I would also like to take this opportunity to put in a quick plug for my students who are outside displaying tremendous items that they have developed. So do make time to go around to the different booths for students from our higher educational institutions. So the question is about technology and innovation, how we are using it within the ministry. So the Ministry of Technical and Higher Education, we deal with vocational training and universities. And everything we do has to support the agenda of the government. And we're all aware of the big 5 game changers, of which digitalization and technology is one of the key pillars. And we have to position ourselves to support that agenda. And there are many platforms we can use to do so. One is exploring how we can use technology across our everyday existence. For example, we're working in partnership with an organization to further enhance an education management system that we have within our universities, and also working to develop a quality management system, because as much as we value education, there should be quality. So we want to see how we can use digital platforms to push forward the agenda of quality education, aligning our higher educational institution to support the agenda of the country at national level, but also at regional level, so coming up with quality indicators that links to our national development plan and also Agenda 2063 and beyond. Another platform that we're using, and that goes without saying, is skills acquisition. So how can we use technology to foster the right skills in our young people? So we're very much aware that yes, we have the technical side of things, but then we need to have core skills, the soft skills to complement that. So that entails things like communication, leadership, digital literacy, financial literacy, and so on, and also entrepreneurship, which circles back to the essence of this platform. How can we create these spaces where young people can be able to thrive, support the government agenda, but also through the lens of social entrepreneurship? And one of our universities, I believe more than one of our universities, 5 universities, have already created a space where young people can thrive in the area of social entrepreneurship. And we also have, within our universities, innovation hubs set up with support from UNDP. So Kwabe College has the main hub, and there will be satellite hubs across the other different universities. And it's exactly as it says on the tin, Innovation Hub. It's a space where young people can come and further refine their innovative ideas, and we're encouraging them to work on contemporary issues that we're grappling with at national level and supporting them throughout the whole spectrum, from idea to something that will make a positive impact in society. And I mentioned earlier also having these social entrepreneurship spaces, so IPAM and other universities have that space, and these can further complement what we have within our higher educational institutions. We have vocational training as well, so it's not something that we're overlooking. We have to ensure that we foster digital skills in our young people across the board, because ultimately what we want is to ensure that our young people have the 21st century skills for the current market, but also have that forward-thinking, horizon scanning. What are the emerging sectors, especially in the area of technology? How can we position our higher educational institutions now to create and generate courses that speak to emerging sectors and position our young people to thrive within those spaces and be able to compete with their peers on the global scale? I'll stop there for now. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you very much, ma'am, for those very important highlights you've made. It's happy to know that there are existing platforms to cater for technologies and innovations that are present in the country and their room for improvement. We hope the youth and all will tap on those opportunities and utilize those platforms to make them sustainable as well. Yes, to the Chief of ILO, Chief Manoto, we have concerns around international partnership. So I'd like to talk about how important are those collaborations and how do you think we can foster the relationship within global cooperation, foreign investment and development assistance within the ecosystem?
Thank you, Sina. It's an interesting question that you bring up. I listened to the speeches that were made just now, and what I realized was therein lies the answer. It's not as if all the tools are not available. They are there. The difficulty is, how do we ensure they are in the right hands at the right time, and to ensure that they are the right tools that people need to build themselves out of poverty, to build their businesses. Inclusivity is one big issue that if we get it right, I think we get to fix a lot of the issues. When we talk about access to financial services, we need to contextualize this to Africa. What are our literacy rates when we talk about digitalization? So what part of the population still gets left behind when we digitalize? And how do we take care of them so that we move at the same pace with everybody? So, yes, we are digitalizing and we are moving forward. We are building alliances. We do have the UN, where I come from, and then we have all the other multilateral development institutions who already have programs that are in country. The key is how contextualized is what we are bringing in. Are we just ticking a box because the aid has come? It comes as aid. Some of it comes as just development finance. Some of it, like the project that I am managing, which is funded by the European Union, thanks to them. But there are other sources of funds that have come up lately. We have a lot of philanthropists who have seen that our financial sector, the way it is set up, it does not speak to the issues that can change the lives of our people. Let's look at commercial banks today and where they are and how heavy they are to lend to government more than to lend to any small business that's aspiring to actually succeed. If we start there, the solution can begin to come. How do we create incentives for the financial sector to develop products that match the needs of our enterprises in the countries so that they are able to then pick up and utilize that? We can talk about innovation. We can talk about creativity. It will all die if we don't have appropriate financial products that help to actualize what is developed. I have seen philanthropies, I have seen crowdfunding, I have seen impact investing. My project actually co-invests in enterprises who do not have a track record. Just an enterprise that has a promising product or a promising business model that could create jobs, or that could be replicated, or that could be scaled up. Invest, see out the idea, and then if the concept is proven, let the bigger financial services providers also step in. So what we need is an ecosystem. And I can see that ecosystem is available, but we work in bits and pieces and silos. There is no clear picture that is there. If we can build that picture for our enterprises through information, where does the information sit for any aspiring entrepreneur? If we look at business development services in the country, we talked about universities. I'm interested. Sierra Leone, almost 70% informality. And we have MBAs on entrepreneurship. 70% informality. How do we cure it? It's not unique to Sierra Leone. It's across Africa. We need homegrown solutions to cure the problems that are holding us back. And I want to believe we have the solutions in ourselves. How do we formalize the businesses? Create incentives that are appropriate for businesses to begin to formalize. Rather than creating a law to ask businesses to formalize, why don't we line up incentives to say, if you meet this level, then you become this. You meet this level, then you become this. This level, then you become this. And slowly, we begin to graduate our own enterprises. Madam Deputy Minister spoke about the continental free trade area. How do we take advantage of it so that we don't end up in talk shows here talking about the continental free trade area and ending up with a lot of foreign products just coming because we can't export? Competitiveness. It means even when we are financing, we want to finance competitiveness. And how do we build it? There has to be an ecosystem. We can't do it. This one here on their own, that one there on their own, that one there on their own. Multilateralism, the world is pointing us in that direction. We need each other. So there can never be a party where somebody else is not invited. We're not going to succeed. Maybe I should stop.
Yes. Thank you very much, sir, for God's spirit. Chief does this partnership. I think as we all know, on the partnership front, there are a lot of institutions and NGOs that we have in the country that are putting hands to deck for development. As we alluded to, let's try to make the right structures and ensure for sustainability the right people getting support that they actually need to address pressing issues that will bring development to the country as a whole. So, Mr. Nano, we will discuss about waste management. We all know waste reduction and utilization within the circular economy, which has to deal with utilizing these products, minimizing the waste. How can we use them such that each and all of those products are being utilized by different sectors within the economy or different players as well? So I'd like you to tell me what are the possible ways to minimize waste and utilize the byproducts from agriculture or agribusiness.
Yeah, thank you very much, Madam Sina. And I want to use this opportunity to thank local content agencies as a partner, critical partner for development and the promotion of private sector excellently for inviting me and many other colleagues to take part in this all-important program today. I'm excited. Thank you, DG, and thanks to other folks. And also, I'm very much also grateful for other African countries that are here today. Right. With respect to my take on what the question that you posed, how can we minimize waste? Of course, I mean, one of the critical areas in Sierra Leone or in Africa's development, critical challenge is energy. We want to grow our private sector. We want to make sure that our youth have jobs. We're producing a lot of waste in the continent of Africa. And of course, we are all aware that there are a lot of technologies today that are used to be able to use waste to create energy, and especially in the agriculture sector. I'm from the agribusiness private sector. If you go to South Africa today, they are not using any form of diesel or generators to generate their own energy. They are using the very waste that they're producing from the palm kernel or palm oil to be able to stop into the system, the pipe system, to be able to create their own energy. If you go to that part of the country, which was dark before, today they have 24 hours of electricity. So that's one of that's the kind of thing we're talking for us, which is why we're very much excited to FITS alone. Which brings space, which connects us also to what we call to fill the gap in the AFCFTA, African Continental Free Trade Area. If we can promote our agriculture in a very structural and a very strong way, what will happen at the end of the day? We can use the waste from the agriculture sector to build an energy system that can be able to supply Sierra Leone, but also Sierra Leone to African continent, but especially West Africa, that we have West African connectivity. So this is something that we are looking forward to. We're working strongly with on it together with government to ensure that we get that happen, and especially in this space of the AFCFTA. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Nando, for that insight. From his input, it's important for us to know that, especially on the waste management front, there are products we can use from other value chains that are useful within the agri sector. Like for example, that of cassava. People do dye, people do flour, but that waste can be used to make poultry feed and also charcoal. That has proven by the project, as we have partners or entrepreneurs that have proven evidence that some of this waste from another entrepreneur can be used as a key product, as value addition within the same agri value chain. And these are not questions for all panelists, since these are issues that concern all in the country as it regards climate change. We all know how important it is and how it affects each and every sector. And for sustainability, there are certain things we need to take into consideration to ensure we fix them to reduce the effect it has in all sectors within the country. So I'd like us to talk about what are the things we should put in place to adapt to change, from climate change, mitigation change, and also build resilience when this comes from. As we all know, it's evidence. Even this year, we can attest to what happened during the games. So what are some of the things, or what are the measures we should put in place to adapt to this change, to mitigate them, and also how to build resilience to climate change within the different sectors?
Thank you very much. That's a very heavy-loaded question. But from my perspective, of the Ministry of Technical and Higher Education, so climate change, we know, is something that it's a global concern. We also know that a lot of the effects of a lot of the activities contributed to the effect of climate change is not happening within the continent, but we bear the brunt of it. So having said that, we have to almost work twice as hard to ensure that we protect the continent as a whole. And it has to be all hands on deck. It's a multi-sectorial approach, and within the Ministry of Education, we have two ministries, the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education, and the Ministry of Technical and Higher Education. We also have the Ministry of Civic Education. So it's a case of working across in a very collaborative manner, seeing how we can come up with curriculum that will help to educate our students who are very young age, and put them in the right position to mitigate against the effects of climate change. And that will support the continuum from primary to secondary to university. Within our educational institutions, we should also be working towards having green campuses. What do I mean by that? Where we're exploring renewable energy and moving away from traditional ways of doing things, which are also contributing towards the effects of climate change. So green campuses using technology to do so, and making our campus, making it part and parcel of what it needs to be within the higher education institutions. And that would complement the curriculum that I mentioned, having teachers that are trained to deliver the curriculum, and also having these green practices within our institutions. It can also create an opportunity for our higher education institutions to embark upon business ventures, which is one thing we're encouraging as a ministry. What do we mean by that? If you look at one of the major drivers, the cost drivers within the universities, it's stationary printing costs. So how can they position themselves to address that and generate an income from that, technology or whatever the case may be? But collectively, we firmly believe that will build resilience. For me, resilience is having the ability to bounce back in the face of a shock. You experience a shock, you absorb the shock, and you bounce back. It's like when you have a ball, you throw it on the floor, it drops, it experiences a shock, but it bounces back, usually higher from where the altitude that you dropped it from. So I think collectively all of that, working across the different ministries, having the education aspect, having the practical aspect, working at all levels, not just with the pupils, but also you'd be amazed how much parents and caregivers can learn from their young children. You go to school, what you're taught, you come home and you pass on that message. So it's ensuring that we utilize all the different levels in terms of disseminating the accurate information, seeing how we can cultivate green campuses, and collectively that will help us to bounce back in the face of a shock and contribute to what we can towards this global challenge, which is climate change. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's another interesting topic where I still want to come back to my first point, we should not forget the old because there is the new. If you buy a new dress, yes, you might want to wear it every day for a few, but you still need your old dresses to wear. And there is a big risk that I see in all of us and our attention and resources going into the new areas that are being talked about, what topics that have been brought up, they are being globally discussed, and then we leave or we neglect the other areas. So my point is, we take everything else and we take this and put it on top. It means we have a big burden to carry, and it's important to actually recognize that. Our economies can be secure, and we can be very deliberate about encouraging secularity in the way we utilize our resources, in the way we process. If we walk into Freetown today, we walk into Freetown today, every year, the drainages, they block and they flood every year. How many conferences, how many meetings? I think this is the issue, because for me, I come from the part where you are judged by how much you deliver and what you do. And this is where I speak from. Our economies can be very secure if the incentives are put in there for every part, for everyone to play their part and be rewarded for it. Most of the waste that is blocking our drainages, there can be commercial value to it. If we say, this is what we are going to do, we come to the beaches. There is a lot of plant matter that litters the beaches. And then the sea comes back and takes them away. That could be money. But researchers, where are you? Why are we not trapping that, drying it, and see whether there is no fuel in there, or we can't make charcoal, or whatever. But this is the issue. And talk about cassava, talk about palm oil. When you process it, there is literally nothing that you can throw away. And it's like that, because we're an agricultural economy, it's like that with most of the crops that we grow, because we are agriculture-led economies, and we should be very secular and deliberate about the products. Big businesses, they are privileged in a way. And sometimes giving back is like just cleaning up their consciences so that they sleep better. When there are community problems like these that could actually be fixed by responsible business conduct. So CSR, the days are long gone when CSR was big companies just choosing, we are interested in cancer, we are interested in cerebral palsy. What is cerebral palsy in Africa? We need to begin to choose subjects that also help the economy. Then we become more inclusive. That's giving back to the community. That is what I would call giving back to the community. By becoming an enabler to a cause that is so close to our hearts. How do we build up our economies? The last point I want to make is about greening of existing enterprises. There is a way in which almost all enterprises can begin to adopt greener practices. And they then begin to harmonize the work we are doing with our environment. And these are subjects that the United Nations is working on. These are subjects that the government is working on. Why are we not harmonizing and developing curriculum that focuses on these things, so that as we are generating our graduates, we are generating graduates who are equipped to deal with the current problems.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think most of what I wanted to say, my colleague panelists have said. However, what I want to add is basically in Africa, what is common in the whole of African countries that have gone is the encouragement of the emission of greenhouse emissions. I hardly see African countries now, except now we're moving out to renewable energy. Most of African countries are still using thermal energy to be able to generate energy. I mean, if we can be able to reduce that and move to renewable energies, I think that's something that can help us very greatly to reduce, to help us to combat climate change. And how can we do this? Look, I went to Fubi College. To the time I left Fubi College today to the engineering department, so engineering faculty. I don't know whether I mean, Manan mentioned that. What are we doing to skill our youth, our children, with skills that we need to be able to promote and develop our environment, or even our countries? So today, we don't have students that are studying things of that nature to be able to come in and invent, I mean, systems that can be able to support, I mean, the country. So that's what we're talking about. These are things that we are doing, other countries have done it. Why not us? So this is something that we should be able to do. So increasing the use of renewable energy will help. We have a lot of, say, I don't know how many water bodies. Rivers, we have over 9 or 10. So what are we doing with them? Why can't us see how best we can train our university, I mean students, to be able to generate energy from water, from hydrogen? I mean, we have some, almost like 6 months. I mean, we also have over 6 months of rain. What are we doing with that? So those are things that we need to think out of the box to see how best we can use our universities to grow or to be able to take skilled youth or our skilled population for us to be able to get increased skills in those areas. The other thing also that I'm not saying here, that I'm saying, I mean, increasing digitalization was how best we can manage our environment. I mean, Mara mentioned that even in the school campus, you go to the of the school, I think in universities, people can just drink water and drop in this way. Nobody wants to really consider the environment. I mean, we need to be able to educate ourselves about that. And that's something that affects the environment. It also creates a lot of issues within the environment. I have to mention that, and many other folks, I mean, my colleagues have mentioned about that. So let's increase the sensitization about that. When I was in school at Queen's of Wales, we used to have teenage club. Now we don't have any of that anymore. That helps me when I went back to my community. I started planting grasses, flowers around my house. So when rain comes, sometimes it used to flow. But after a while, it stopped. If you go to many parts of the country in Sierra Leone, and even in many African countries, we don't believe in rain. We don't believe in green glasses. We say, oh, when you have green around your house or whatsoever, snakes. But you know what is happening. So what's happening to that? So it's something that is good for us to be able to educate, sensitize our youth to understand that that's something that is also very, very essential. And above all, I think good waste management. It's something that is good. You walk from one point to another, one street to the other, you don't see trash cans. You know, people don't even believe in that. Even in schools, I think sometimes I walk through some schools, have to kind of encourage them and even donate to that. Children will just eat and read and just drop it everywhere. So we need to be able to inculcate or encourage our kids, our youth, our children coming out to have a very good waste management or waste disposal system. I think that's something that can help us to think.
Yes, thank you very much, speakers. You gave very good insights to kind. Lastly, let's talk about policies and regulations. You know, most of the things with personnel, for them to thrive or do well, there must be policies and regulations to pushing those. But there should be an enabling environment to allow this to work. So, on the spirit to build the Africa that we want, what are your perspectives on the policies and regulations that govern agro-processing within Africa or within the ecosystem? Yes.
That's my area. Absolutely, this is good, and I'm so excited about that. That's why I'm happy about Feed Salon. Feed Salon is good for us, and all of those of us that are here, and even for the whole of Africa. It's very important for us to take agriculture very seriously. So kudos to President Bill. I'm not a politician, I'm a private sector person. But that's a very good policy for us as Sierra Leone. So I encourage a lot of us for us to see that how best we can use Feed Salon to produce what we can eat and be able to reduce importation. Africa's import is almost going out over 1 billion. You know what that means? And we have to convert our local currencies to import food in our countries. Not only Sierra Leone, we go to all over Africa. This is why, 10 or 15 years back, I was part of that conference. We had what we call the African capacity building program in agriculture and agro-processing some time ago. And we also have CADEP, Comprehensive African Agricultural Development Project. That's a policy for Africa. You know what that says? What it says that Africa should be able, 10 years or 15 years back, we should focus on agriculture to be able to produce importation. But you know, before now, what we used to do is just produce our raw materials and export it to the European market, to the American market, and so on. And we don't have value to it. We lose a lot in the value chain. So value addition is key for us, which is why Feed Salon, not we only encourage the use of agriculture, but we encourage the private sector players to come in and add value. It is but why many of the juices that we drink in Sierra Leone are imported, yet still we grow foods, we grow vegetables. So what's bad for us to also have Sierra Leone juice? And supply the supermarket with that. We produce cashew in this country. You go to the street of Freetown, or even in many other countries, packaging facilities and many of these are out there. If we package food, but yet still foreigners will come, and even most of us that are here, we go to the supermarket, we prefer buying imported cashews, just because ours is not properly packaged, it's not properly processed. Basically what is happening is like, we're killing our economy. Because anytime you import any food item in your country, you are almost like sending your taxes outside, your employment, and many other things goes with it. So why can't we get it? So that's what we're for. So processing value addition, actually, in agriculture, especially the agriculture sector is key. And let me make one thing clear here. Agriculture or agribusiness is the biggest business sector in Africa. And until we embark on that, we can turn the economy around. So for us, the president choosing agriculture to be our flagship is key and is very good and it's timely. So we encourage all as a practice to players for us to see how best we can, get to that, reduce food import in our country. Now, with respect to policies, you look at, we have the FCFTA. Why is the FCFTA? It's for us to be able to trade, Africa to trade among ourselves. Is it happening? There are many barriers to that. So I encourage African countries, those of us that are from other African countries. One of the biggest challenges we have transportation. A flight from here to Ghana is expensive than a flight from here to Europe. Why? Even to America. So we have to find ways how to get good policies to encourage, and even ground transportation like trains, roads. You go to America, you can travel from one, even in Europe. Train can take you from Spain to France to air. You can do business. Farmers or people can do business easily. So let's have a very good transportation policy. Not only for Sierra Leone, but within the African continent. Energy policy is also very good. That's something that can also help. Now we have the transport line in the West African region, which is very good. So somebody here, investors can come here that loves Sierra Leone can be able to establish and generate huge amount of energy and also export to Guinea, Liberia, and other places. So we need to be able to strengthen that. It has been established, but the policies around that, other countries are still existing, tariff measures and many other things. We need to look at that critically and see how best we can address it. Now, we're talking about policy. Now, how can we trade without also one person, not having one person? That's another thing. If I want to go to South Africa, I have to fly to Ghana to go and get visa. Imagine I have goods here to export to South Africa or to East Africa. That's troubling. So we need to look at the one passport system. Let's forget about this is my area, that's not my area, whatever. Africa, we want to move forward. We need to clear those things. You go to Europe, as long as you're a European, you can travel every part of Europe. America is the same. Other countries are, why Africa? Why are we resisting? I think that's the key thing that is really making us go to war. We have the largest population now on planet Earth, almost 1.4 crores. China has used their population to transform themselves to developed country today. A well-developed country, second to America. Before now, we were all at the same level. So confidence of that on this system we have is for us to come and sit and think and please, let's take concrete actions. And these are critical actions that are in our progress. If we can take them to our leaders and work with them and make sure we implement them, I'm sure Africa is ready to change. We are moving forward and we are ready to move forward.
Thank you, Mr. Nano. When you think about traveling, it's just daunting for us as Africans to travel from one country to another within Africa. It looks like we are waiting for somebody to come from outside and fix this for us. The moment Air France decides they are not coming here, we are also under. It means we are limiting traveling to those who are privileged. It just becomes a rich man's activity. So where does the free trade area then come in, and how do we take advantage of it when only a few are privileged to be able to travel? So what I think we need to do, the academia has a big role they are supposed to play. Government has done their part, and I think across Africa, if there is anything we do not lack, it's visions and very concrete kind of motivations that rally all of us towards something good we want to achieve for ourselves. We have an abundance of that. But those things don't get turned into tangible. What is Africa, continental free trade area, to a farmer in Kenya? If you don't demystify it or break it down to the level of the farmer whose product you want to then process and add value to and take to the Ivory Coast as an export, we are doomed. So everybody in the system has to be lined up and prepared, and policies help to make these things actually happen. I was thinking of the buzzwords these days. Systems thinking. There's a lot of talk about systems thinking. This is where the academia comes in and helps us to figure things out. There is no economic transformation we are going to have without the academia helping us to figure and think these things through. It's time to bring them to the table. They have to play a very prominent role. That's what I think. Employers and workers, together with government. I work for the International Labour Organization, and we believe in dialogue. And we believe that there can never be lasting peace without social justice. How do we break down justice? In our own world, it's the world of work. And the world of work is what we are creating in order to export to the free trade area. It's the world of work. Unhappy workers, workers that are highly underpaid, not well trained, no occupational safety and health in the workplace. DG say no social protection, and you expect those workers to be very happy every day and come and work for you and be productive. If we're going to be competitive, we need to be productive. And we have to start with the basics, and the policies are going to help us to start with the basics. The academia are going to help us to look at all the policies that are sitting here, there, everywhere. You will find economic policies in more than 10 ministries that seek to do the same thing. How do we then harmonize them so that we can rally all the efforts? I have my own argument from my own ignorance that we don't need any foreign injection of money for us to transform ourselves. I find it hard to even spend time thinking about that. We have enough resources if we harmonize. Let's just talk about free trade area. If we did a survey today and say how many ministries are touched by the free trade area, how many? And how many ministries have policies that do not speak to each other about the free trade area? This is not about Sierra Leone. This is about Africa. It's across Africa. We are good at making policies. We are academics. We think. We are sharp. We have beautiful documents. They never translate into anything that lives. Can we put our finger on this? Is there a policy that would come in and say, we want to ensure this is done? It's a policy that makes sure things are actually being done. There's a difference between popularizing the policies and having a policy that ensures that what we say we are doing is actually being done. If we say we are going to start from here, we don't care to look at stage 5. If we build something that doesn't have a strong foundation, it will still crumble. There are a lot of policies that die with regimes. Why do we not have a strong legal framework that makes sure that whatever is in that policy, even if it's pushed away, you cannot go on and start working on something else before this is completed? The legal framework can do that. Why are we not doing this? So that we protect. I heard somebody saying, we are doing this for our kids and those coming in the future. I do not see the future reflected in what we are doing, to be honest. Because we got to fight and protect what we start building today. We protect that with policies and laws. And laws are actually stronger because then they provide the framework in which everybody else comes and operates in. That's my 2 cents on this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'd like to continue from the point that you made, that the 2 previous speakers have made. What I've gathered from that is that we know the challenges within the continent, and that is why it's important to have platforms like this where we can have frank conversations about it. But it goes beyond having frank conversations. It also entails being intentional and deliberate about coming up with solutions that are sustainable to address the challenges that we know already. And the point that was made about academia, I cannot agree more that academia has a role to play in this. But before going to that point, let me just circle back on the need for us to have policies. And I think if we were to self-reflect, I think that's something that would be useful to see. What are the barriers, what are the bottlenecks that are stopping these policies from being living documents? And we know what the process is. The policy, as we know, should be informed by evidence, context-specific evidence. That is where academia comes in, and research, but I'll come to that in a minute. So the policy should be informed by context-specific evidence. The policy should have the buy-in at all levels, because you can have the best design policies at national level, but how it's translated at local level is completely different if you do not bring their voices into the decision-making rooms. So if you have ownership at all levels, then there's that sense of buy-in at all levels, which will help. The policies need implementation plans, costed plans. They need monitoring and evaluation frameworks with clearly defined roles and responsibilities, and monitoring and evaluation systems where you periodically check and see how much progress you're making, where do you need to go back to the drawing board, and so on and so forth. And most importantly, the policies need financial resources to be implemented. And I firmly believe that as much as we value the support that we have from our partners, there should be that sense of national investment as well, because that would ensure national leadership and national ownership, with our partners supporting us to get into the common goal. So with the area of research, academia has a very important role to play in that. And that is why as a ministry we have started the dialogue with our higher educational institutions and all the ministries, departments and agencies. So it goes beyond trade but across the board, to ask them what are the contemporary issues that you're grappling with within your sector. In fact, we're having the first meeting tomorrow, where we invited the heads of our universities and all the professional heads of all the ministries, departments and agencies for us to have this conversation. What are the issues that you're grappling with? Once we have that database, we can collate by sector and send to the relevant institutions institutions and say, these are the gaps that we have identified at national level. These are the needs that we need, that we are hoping research will be able to give us insights. When your faculty members are engaging in research, these are the gaps we should be designing the research questions on. But it goes beyond that. There should be that sense of institutional investment in capacity building, because we have to be very realistic. Our different universities have different levels of capacity for research. But if we're deliberate and intentional, as I said earlier, we can ring-fence capacity building funds for our researchers and say, these are the issues, these are the challenges, design research questions that speak to this. It also opens the door for partnership at regional level, where universities working on an area where there's mutual interest, they can work together within the continent and address challenges that the continent is grappling with at this point in time. It will also create a platform for us to share best practice. There may be something that Sierra Leone is struggling with, but Ghana next door, it's tried and tested. We can share that, they can share their insights with us, and we can see what is adaptable to the context of Sierra Leone. So there's a lot that we need to do, but these policies, I believe the question was agri-processing and agribusinesses. Even yesterday, we had a meeting, myself, the Minister of Agriculture, and Jala University. We know Jala University is well known for agriculture. And this was the focus of the discussion. What is Jala doing to support Seed Salon? What are the plans within the ministry? How can they align better? And how can Jala support the implementation of Seed Salon and help to address bottlenecks as and when they come up? The same with our vocational institutions. We have Eastern Technical University. We have a project that we will be launching very shortly, again in agriculture, sponsored by UNESCO, and it's seeing how we can support Seed Salon. So these are some of the examples as to how the Ministry of Technical and Higher Education is working to position our higher education institutions to support policies that will not just be policies on paper, but policies that are living documents that can be translated into policy and practice. Thank you.
Yes, so thank you very much, my panelists. Thank you very much, Dr. Oyi, and Mr. Tomara Monato, and Mr. Nano. We've had a fruitful discussion, and you all would agree with me. So let's give them a round of applause.
Thank you very much to moderator and panelists for taking us through the session. Please put your hands together one more time for them as they go back to the seats. Thank you, very informative session. Okay, we would like to present certificates of recognition to some deserved institutions and individuals, and of course the Vice President of the Republic of Sierra Leone. And to help us do that, I would like to invite, as being told, the Ambassador from the Republic of Liberia, Ambassador Angie von Balmos, to please help us with that. You can come up on stage, we're doing a few, and we'll get the Minister of Higher and Technical Education here to help us with some more awards. But we want to start up with the Ambassador from Liberia. Please join us. Thank you. I would like to invite Dr. Inga Sendi from the Office of the Vice President, to Office of the President, to receive on behalf of the Vice President these awards in the form of a certificate that is going to be presented. And it says, it is presented to the Vice President of the Republic of Sierra Leone, Dr. Ahmed Jules Diallo, for his role in the MCC grant, which was recently awarded to Sierra Leone. It is presented by the African Development Conference and awards in recognition of his contribution to African and socio-economic development. Okay. Mrs. Melrose Committee, Minister of Social Welfare, Gender and Children's Affairs. It is presented to you for your role in establishing a rehab center for Kush victims in Sierra Leone. That's laudable. Thank you very much for doing that. We know the story already in Sierra Leone. It's ravaging families. They say there is what is called the 6th degree of separation. Whatever is happening to someone, it's only 6 steps away from you before it happens to you. Literally every family in Sierra Leone has been affected by a Kush user or a drug addict. I mean, when I say every family, I mean even my family. So I'm not exempted from it, we know. So thank you very much for having that rehabilitation center done. Yeah, and I mean, it's laudable and we appreciate the work that you've done. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together one more time for Minister Melrose Committee. Thank you very much for doing that. Presenting to the next. Bulk oil storage and transportation, of course, as one of course, the big international, of course, companies around. They're getting presented with a certificate of appreciation for contributing to the advancement and development of Africa. Congratulations. Thank you. Congratulations. Up next will be from the Leon Rock Metal Group, most outstanding mineral company in Africa. Congratulations. And Mr. Silla is representing the company again. We'll continue to mention your name and the mark you've made as far as what you've done at Leon Rock Metal Group as the CTO, Chief Technical Officer, and this is what you get from a local content agency with the right leadership and the right policies to establish the enforcement of the growth of locals. Congratulations, sir, and congratulations to Leon Rock Metal Group. Thank you very much. Okay. So I've just been told how to pronounce this name. I asked another Ghanaian who was backstage so I could get it right. I like sounding just how it should be. I've just been told that the name, I missed it the first time, I missed it the second time, but now it's correct. And Mrs. Mary Ann Awuku. That's how it should be pronounced. Congratulations, you are being awarded for Property Management Excellence. She is the CEO of Facility Pro in Ghana. Congratulations for this recognition. CEO Property Management, Facility Pro from Ghana, and the category is Property Management Excellence. You are recognized and awarded by Africa Development Conference. Congratulations, man. Thank you very much for coming. And thank you for all that you do. Next will be Madam Juliet Lavalley, President, Women in Agriculture. You're recognized for your role in agriculture and agro-business. Madam Juliet Lavalley. All right, someone would receive that on your behalf. We would like to thank the ambassador for being here. Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much. Excellency Antifor Valdes, helping us with that. I think there are a few more, and we would like to invite again for the all right, so we have some more awards, but the recipients are not here. So what we will do, we'll move them to tomorrow evening, so we can get the recipients to receive the double package award. They'll be receiving a certificate and a special plaque that has been prepared for them as well. So, well, it's time for us to have a quick break.